Right, I got 2 streams going. I'm live. I am live. Let me get this one up then. If you go to my channel, you'll see that I'm live. Not sure if you can copy and paste that though. Let me put it in the description so people can click on it if they want to. Uh, Put a little link in here now. Live. Adam Montgomery. If you go into the description box, refresh, go into the description box, the link for the new trial is in there. Hello, Madwood. Hello, Amy. They've made it. Rumble's gone. So that one's gone. So everyone that's in the Adam Montgomery, please go to the new one. The link's in the description, or go to my channel, or do whatever you need to do, and I will start streaming. I'll get it up ready. Present, share screen. Kim is here. Lady Law is here. Do you think Lefty's gonna come, or do we do a good enough job to make sure he didn't come? I hope Lefty comes. Parkland shooting. Share. I didn't know that we could do this though. 2 streams at once. Um, it's gonna be a 1.25 speed, and it's gonna be English. Lefty thought, oh, it's gonna be a nice stream for me now. Right, there, that one there. StreamYard, 4 people there, but I'm just gonna leave that one now. End broadcast on StreamYard. Guys, the link is in there. Um, Ended. Perfect. Remove. Leave studio on that one. Let's see. So remember, we did 60, well, nearly 65 hours on that stream. Leave that one out. So I got to end the stream as well on Rumble. So it is playing. Oh no, it's not. I'm playing it, but I'm setting up Rumble at the same time. So it has been played. Set up a new stream. So I'm not gonna talk for a bit, but the stream is going. Please like the video as well. You gits. Only one person's liked it. You gits. Um, I will get back to it. Thanks, Kim. I just need to set up Rumble. I have started the stream. The stream is started. Oh Jesus! Look at this. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you. It's the video thing. Super. Um, Someone else yelled. I yelled. They said, "Don't yell at me." I was like, "I'm not. I'd never yell at Lady Law. Lady Law is my gilf." Uh, I'm just panicking because I can't get fucking Rumble set up. Right, Rumble, fucking patience, guys. I will set it up now. Here we go. Right. Okay. Choose your own. Thing is, in a few weeks or months, this is gonna be you, Lady Law, trying to fucking please everyone. I'm trying to set everything at Rumble right now. Next. And Rumble's a pain in the ass because you can only do one video at a time. Once Rumble's set up, I'll forward it straight on to actual start. Oh, that Rumble, come on. And then you got to configure it all. Then you see. So back to StreamYard. Also, your brother uses. Your brother doesn't use StreamYard. He uses something else, which he's probably sensible about. Uh, okay, I think we needed a StreamYard is now set up. So right, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. Right, let me just get back to the normal then. Where am I? Stream. Yeah, your brother's on Streamlabs. Yeah, I like StreamYard a lot, but I think I will have to go for Streamlabs. But I'm committed now for a while, so I'm stuffed. Right, let me get this one then. Why is this not save changes? No worries, Lefty. Um, Rumble, why are you not playing then? Okay, Rumble's not playing. Happy days. Don't worry about that anymore. Right, okay, that's done. Right, we're all set up, guys. Just got shitloads of tabs open, that's all. Right, and now we've got to share on Twitter. Share on Twitter, then we're ready to go. Right, why is he not starting? Right, I will go over now and get it started. Let's get this party started. Whoop whoop. It's getting mad in here. Let's take off. What was it? Let's take off all our clothes. Ba-da-ba-ba. Yes. It's getting hot in here. Let's take off all our clothes. Naked stream. Who's joining? Come on, let's join in. Oh. Do it when we can monetize it, Lady Law. We could do a joint stream then. Naked stream. Can you imagine? I said I'd do it topless if people paid. That's me being desperate. Tweets. So now. Oh. Is that what that was? Right, I think we missed some stuff, guys. I didn't realize we started. I have to go back. I didn't realize we started. Right. Apologies for that. I genuinely didn't know that we started. That's always making fun. Okay. Okay, now I get it. Okay.
Okay, so defense, I'm taking into account everything you previously argued regarding probative value versus prejudicial effect. Anything else you want to tell me as to state's exhibit C for identification?
Yes, I'm not sure that I specifically ever articulated my objection specifically to this video because candidly they had so many and I didn't even know which clips they were going to use. First of all, what's important to note is my argument is that any probative value is outweighed by the prejudicial effect. Let's start with probative value. I don't think that there's any. This was from the first floor. As you can tell from both of our opening arguments, no one's contesting the fact that my client wasn't even at the scene
See,
when
Shelley.
shots were fired. So there's zero value. Secondly, the sounds are inconsistent. So their argument is, well, we're doing it to show a particular sound. You've got probably 4 or 5 different sounds being made depending upon where the shots are coming from. And clearly, I'm going to use words to articulate the emotion, but you have a student writhing in agony. You hear somebody yell, "Help me."
So
This is very hard to watch. It's an appeal to sympathy. It's on the prejudicial side of the scale. And on balance, that's more significant than any probative value.
Well, I will. So
You wanna
this
take
is
responsibility?
Yes, Judge, the jury is going to make a determination as to Scott Peterson's credibility when he says that he was only able to hear two.
so this is just before the
On that
jury.
audio,
It's not
we
played in
understand
front of the
that tests are
jury.
taking place not on the first floor, but on the third floor after the fire alarm has already stopped. It also shows that the fire alarm only went off for a very short period of time, and that while Scott Peterson is standing within proximity of the building, those additional shots that we hear going off in the background can be heard and are loud and are clear.
Okay, so, over the defense objection, I do find that it's probative. It does outweigh any prejudicial effect. It's certainly relevant to, issues that have been raised, and the jury's gonna have to determine over the defense objection, which is otherwise preserved, assuming, of course, that the item is otherwise properly admitted. The defense objection to state's, Exhibit C for identification at this time is gonna be overruled. When the witness is on the witness stand, if the state doesn't intend to move into evidence defense, I'll ask you if you have any additional objections based on the witness's testimony. Okay? Okay, that's over the defense objection. Any other exhibits as to this witness?
The witness that will be testifying after is Ivy Seamus. Through Ms. Seamus, we will be entering in a video that was taken inside of her classroom. And I'll let Mr. Clayburgh.
Is that item marked?
Yeah.
What is that? This is state's D for identification?
Yes.
How long is this video?
Very short.
Second, 13
13
seconds.
seconds at the most.
Okay, go ahead, let's see.
Careful, you might want to mute yourself in case. I think when it comes to it, you can probably mute
Holy
some of this.
And what floor is this classroom in state's Exhibit D for identification?
It was in, excuse me, first floor, classroom, 1214, I believe, Judge. Double check.
Okay, defense, again, I'll count everything you've already told me as you having repeated. Anything else you want to tell me regarding state's Exhibit D for identification?
Yeah, just one more argument. What that then depicts is what the sounds sounded like from wherever that person was on the first floor, which had nothing to do with my client, who wasn't even there yet, and how that recording registered that sound in that particular classroom, which has zero relevance to how my client would have heard the sound significantly further away by the 700 to 800 building. And this building we're talking about has hurricane-proof windows and is significant. That's what the evidence will show. It has very little to no value. And clearly, I mean, if you're human and you're not a sociopath, that was very prejudicial. And again, we don't want the jurors being consumed with that emotion. And that's why we're moving to suppress it.
Okay. State, I'll consider the same response Ms. Gomes gave you before. Anything additional you want to tell me, Mr. Quinn?
Just again, I would say that Mr. Igoff's objections were more for cross-examination than it would be for reasoning to not allow the video in. It would be more prejudicial. That's something I would add.
Okay, so for state's Exhibit D for identification, again, assuming otherwise the proper predicate is laid for the admission of the item, it would be over the defense objection. I likewise find these two clips to be probative. The probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect. It goes to the heart of issues that the jurors are going to have to determine. That is going to be over the defense objection, which is otherwise preserved. State, anything else I need to look at before we get going?
No, I don't.
No, Judge, can we have 2 minutes, please? Just I think the witness is not right outside.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool, Amy. Not cool, but wow, I didn't know that. That must have been hard. That must have been, Jesus, I can't imagine what you had to go through with that, Amy. So you can probably give us some snippets here then as we go through. I will try my best to pause it to give people time to mute and stuff, but I can't promise I'll catch it every time. Hi, Heidi. Yeah, I think yeah. Anyway, hi, Heidi. We're watching the Officer Parkland shooting. Oh, Heidi, you don't know half the people here. Not half, but Lady Law meet Heidi. Heidi meet Lady Law. We're watching the officer Parkland shooting, but the officer himself is on trial now. So yeah, I think Heidi. The only person you don't know here is Lady Law. Lady Law is my gilf. I love that woman. So Lady Law, this is Heidi. She's a paramedic. Oh, have you? Oh, there we are. There we are. There we are. I don't need to give it. I forget. And Amy was part. I didn't know this about Amy. You were part of the uh, team that went into Impact Team
Pending the
about it.
outcome of my ruling, some of this evidence is about to be played again in front of the jury. I
Heidi.
cannot let anything interfere with the state getting a fair trial. Likewise, I cannot let anything interfere with the defense getting a fair trial. So if at any point in time, you think it's more appropriate to leave the courtroom, please feel free to do so. If something happens in the gallery that causes the jurors to turn their heads, that will be my indication. If the jury is not looking at the evidence, if they're not listening to the lawyers, if they turn their heads and see something that's taking place in the gallery, I'm going to ask BSO to handle that situation. I don't want to have to do that. So again, if you think it's smarter to exit the courtroom at this time or at any time, everyone is certainly free to do so. Okay, please bring the jury back in.
So the Montgomery trial, Heidi, it was like me, Lefty, Lady Law, Shelley was there for a bit, Kim, and I think everyone watched this one instead. So we switched to this trial. So this is the first day still, but we're not that far behind. We're about 3 hours behind, I think. So and I'll play it again tomorrow then. Well, probably, mate. But I mean, I'm a bit fucking stuffed now. You know, I'm not looking forward to obviously some of the children sounds and stuff like that. But so I might even mute myself for that. Do you know what I mean? Um, I'm sure we will be seeing videos and things like that, just the shots, and I've seen them before. It's just so sad. But I want to see what this guy get. You selfish bastard. It's me time now, Lefty. It's me time.
Jurors entering.
Right, I'm gonna do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Come on in. Once you're back at those same seats, you may be seated.
Tomorrow's stream as well now then.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Come on in. Once you're back at those same seats, you may be seated. All the parties may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you using the notepads, I'll give you a moment to get the notepads back in. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you had a nice lunch. Number one, I apologize for the brief delay in getting started this afternoon. Please don't blame the lawyers for that. You can blame me for that, but I promise you we were in here working. That's number one. Number two, before we took the lunch break, we would heard the opening statements. So at this point, we're going to begin.
Oh shit!
State when you are ready. You may call your first witness.
Right, we missed the opening statements. Bollocks. Bollocks. We have to watch the opening statements. I mean, fuck's sakes. I chose the wrong one, didn't I? Fuck. Store on. No one. I picked the right one. Oh, fuck's sakes. So open statements aren't on law and crime. Jesus Christ. Right, bear with me. Fucking A. Fucking A. Right, okay, I got him. I'm gonna regret starting this fucking stream. Share screen.
February 14th, 2018.
This is the prosecutor. Pushing
Actually,
statements.
started out as a rather nice day. It was Valentine's Day. And the weather, typical South Florida February weather. Sunny, partly sunny, warm temperatures. The day was going along smoothly at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School is located at the north end of the county in Parkland, Florida. It's a large school, almost over 3,000 students attend that school. And it was just a normal day in February. But excitement for the kids and students because it was Valentine's Day. Years ago, there was a song about one moment in time. And one moment in time can really change everything. And on this day, at approximately 2:19 in the afternoon, Nicholas Cruz, and I'm going to only say his name once from here on, and I will refer to him as either the shooter, the active shooter, or the gunman. The shooter gets out of a Uber on Pine Island Road. There's a little path that goes into the school, and the school, it was 2:19. The school day ends at 2:40. So by that time of the day, the school monitors were going around and opening up the gates because students are going to be let out. School buses were coming in. Parents were coming up to pick up kids. Students who are old enough to drive would be able to drive out, go home. So having had attended that school, he knew a little path where the gate was now open that would lead him to what is known as Building 12. It's also called the 1200. You'll hear the 1200 building. Sometimes you might hear the freshman building or Building 12, all the same thing. It's a 3-story building, built or opened at least in 2009. It contains 30 classrooms. Now, if I can get I see if the monitor will work right, we'll put up the first drawing here. Hopefully everybody can see this diagram that's up. This is a diagram of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. You can see all the different buildings, the campus, and way up in the top, sort of the top of the more on the right side is Building 12. And far over on the other side is, well, just to the, what would be to my right is Pine Island Road. And there's a little path that's in and around this area right in here. And that's where the gunman is walking toward the 1200 building. It's 2:19, he gets out. At around 2:20 in the afternoon, he's going to walk into the building. And you will see as the trial progresses, the video, surveillance video, you will see that the students, it's a kind of a normal day. 3 students walk in just before he walks in. And then he enters the building and he turns, makes a hard right and goes into the stairwell. Now, I'm going to stop that story here because there's background information that you all need to know and understand in regards to this case and to regards to this defendant before we continue on as to what happened that horrible, horrible afternoon at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. The defendant, Scot Peterson, was a deputy with the Broward Sheriff's Office for approximately 32 years. Out of those 32 years, he was a SRO, what is known as an SRO, that's a school resource officer. And school resource officers in general are assigned to certain schools, and it is their duty under contracts that are signed between the cities and the school board and a law enforcement agency. In this case, the contract is signed between the school board and BSO, because he was a deputy for BSO, and then he was assigned to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. And that contractual agreement puts the defendant under a duty to the school. He's there for security purposes. He's the lead security person at that school. And he has special powers that he's allowed to do that other officers can't. He can conduct an administrative search if he wants without probable cause, but only on campus. So he has special powers that are given to him to help keep the school safe, to make sure the students are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And in general, just to know the school itself, to know the buildings, to know the administrators, to know the teachers, to know even some of the students. So that if anything ever goes wrong, he is the person who knows, for the most part, where everything is. He's been in the school, he knows where it is. He has been the SRO at Marjory Stoneman Douglas since 2009. So he was 28 years as an SRO, but he became Marjory Stoneman Douglas' SRO in 2009. So that's 9 years approximately before that fateful day occurred. Now, during that interim, those periods, the defendant has lots of training. He is trained on active shooter scenarios. He is trained how to handle a situation where he is the only person there, the only law enforcement person there to handle an active shooter. He's also trained if he has another officer with him or a group of officers, how to go in and how to handle an active shooter type situation. For the most part, active shooter situation, you go toward the gunshots. You're trained to go toward those shots, to find that shooter, because every shot could be a death. In the old days, it was, former perimeter, not after Columbine. It changed. Usually, active shooter scenarios happen very quickly, and you've got to get in and you've got to find the shooter, do everything you can to find him so that you can stop the killing. Now, there's other things that the defendant learns and the school administrators learn. As a matter of fact, just a month before this awful incident, they had a program for the school administrators to learn and the teachers about hardening their classrooms and what to do if all of a sudden you're faced with an active shooter situation. So the teachers and the administrators are learning that they need to harden their classrooms, have safe places in their classrooms, keep the doors closed and locked, cover the windows. This practical advice that would help stop an active shooter. Now, the defendant is also trained. He's trained as an SRO. He's trained on all the special things that an SRO does for a school. And he's also trained, of course, on his weapon, and how to use his weapons in whatever scenario he may face. So he becomes the SRO of Marjory Stoneman Douglas in 2009. 2016, he has training on active shooter. In 2017, he has more SRO training. And finally, we come up in 2018, that training the month before was done at the school for the staff and teachers. And the defendant was there for that also. Now we go back to that day, that afternoon. First thing you need to understand is that there is surveillance throughout the school. There are surveillance cameras inside the 1200 building. There are surveillance cameras outside the 1200 building. There are surveillance cameras all over the school. They don't cover everything. There are certain sections that don't cover. There's no cameras in the classroom. There's no cameras, obviously, in the restrooms. There's no cameras in the teachers' lounges. And sometimes there's just not a camera in certain areas or captures a certain area. And one of those areas happens to be the very front of the 1200 building, the 12 building. That's where the shooter enters. There's two doors that go right into the main hallway, and there's a third door that goes into the stairwell. The school itself, the 12th building, has two stairwells. There's an east stairwell, and then one on the far end of the building that's the west stairwell. So, again, by looking at the screen, we're talking about the 1200 building, or the building 12. At the time that the shooter enters the 1200 building, gets out of the Uber and goes into the 1200 building. The defendant and a lot of the administrators in the school's security specialist, Kelvin Greenleaf, and the vice principals are all in and around the number 1 building. That's the administration building, which you can see is actually it's south of the 1200 building, because this is north, east, west, and south. And if you don't really like directions or don't like east and west, north and south, unfortunately, in this trial, you're going to hear a lot of that. And I'll show you why with the second photograph. This shows the interior of Building 12. And it's important because the shooter takes a certain route. He goes from east to west on the first floor, west to east on the second floor, and then on the third floor, east to west. So in looking at that diagram, all of this is on the east side, see, and all the other side is the west side. So the way it's oriented, it's east and west, but the classrooms themselves are north and south. For example, classrooms on the first floor, 1256 or 1255 face north. Classrooms 1254 or third floor, 1254 or 1257 face south. And that's the same for all the floors. The first floor is down at the bottom, and you can see it's 1217 and 1218 are the furthest classrooms to the east, and 1202 is the furthest classroom to the west. And the floors are basically the same. There's bathrooms on each floor, and some of the floors have teachers' lounges or offices. So it's important to have that orientation of the inside of the building, and it's going to be important to have orientation of the outside of the building. The shooter enters the school with a gun bag and ammunition, quite a bit of it. He immediately goes into that east stairwell. He makes that hard right. Because just before him, you're going to see 3 students walking in. Ashley Bias, she's going to walk down to the farther end, the west end of the hall. And you're also going to see Martin Duque and Luke Hoyer walking in just before he walks in. Martin and Luke will go down the hallway slightly, and they will stop in front of classroom. You can see on the bottom on the first floor, in front of classroom 1215. And sitting in front of classroom 1215, working on a computer, she had asked special permission, is Gina Montalto. So the 3 of them, Luke, Gina, and Martin, are in front, or they're in that little alcove. You can see there's the 1215 classroom and the 1214 classroom, and they have the doors are in a little alcove, and that's where they are. Now, the shooter takes out his gun, and just as he's doing that, another student happens to just walk through and into the stairwell by accident. And he quickly leaves. He sees the gun, he sees the shooter, and the shooter says, something bad's about to happen, get out, he gets out. And then the shooter exits that stairwell, the bottom, goes out, takes his weapon, and fires it down the first floor corridor. So he's at the far east end, and he begins firing. This is around 2:21-ish, 2:21, 33 seconds that he begins firing. And you're going to be also hearing, not just north, south, east, and west, you're going to be hearing a lot of times, because the timing is important as to where everybody is. So we know at that time, he's on the first floor of that building shooting. Where is everybody else? Most everybody else is over, if you're talking about the defendant or the administrators, they are over near the administration building 1, the other picture that I have. There are some campus monitors. They're in and around the campus because, again, they're getting ready to let school out in a few minutes. So they're located at various different locations around the school. Shortly after those first shots are fired, the video from outside the number 1, the administration building, shows security specialist Greenleaf and defendant Peterson meeting outside that building. And they start to walking out. They're not rushing, they're walking toward a cart. Everybody at school uses golf carts. They use them to get around the campus. And they're going to get on the golf cart because information has come over the school radio that something is happening in the 1200 building. Something's not right. So they go to get a cart. It turns out they can't get the key for the cart, turn it on. And they turn around, they start walking the other way, and another car pulls up. And in the car is school monitor Medina. Medina had been over by the 1200 building. Now he comes over, and about the same time, the alarm system in the school goes off. Now, this is another thing we have to discuss. The alarm system in the 1200 building, the 1300 building, was a little newer than the rest of the school's alarm system. It was much louder. There were alarms in every room in the 1200 building. Every classroom had an alarm. Then they make a piercing noise when it goes off. In the rest of the school, it would be like a siren alarm, but it would be heard throughout the school. If it goes off in one building, the whole school goes off, and it's controlled from the administration building. So as they're hopping onto the cart, the defendant gets in the seat next to Medina. Medina's driving, he's next to him, and Mr. Greenleaf gets in the back. And they take off. Now Medina is driving right to the 1200 building. So they're now on their way to the 1200 building. Meanwhile, as that process is happening, the shooter has fired, and then those initial bullets hit and killed Luke Hoyer, Gina Montalto, and Martin Duque. At least they initially certainly injure them, and then he later comes back and shoots them again, and that was the end. When he's done firing those initial shots, he turns to the building across from the 1215 building. You can see 1216 is across the hall. And he fires into 1216 through the door and through the window that's embedded in the door. He fires into that classroom twice. And in that classroom, the shots hit and killed Alex Shackner, Elaine Petty, and Elisa Allen. Now, you're going to notice when you're watching the videos that almost immediately after the shooter begins to fire, this white stuff starts to appear everywhere. It's like dust. It just starts coming down. It was snowing almost. He has in what he brought to school was an AR, Smith & Wesson AR-15. Very powerful gun. Rifle, semi-automatic rifle. It's very powerful. And the percussion from that rifle causes dust. Remember, the building was built in 2009. The ceiling tiles have been up there now for about nine years or so, because it's 2018. And all the dust that had accumulated there is falling down. And probably maybe some of the construction dust that was left up there. But anyway, it all comes down. What that does,
see you later. See you tomorrow,
it
mate.
messes a little bit with the school surveillance system. It makes it stop and start because it's based on motion. It only records when it sees motion, detects motion. So it stops twice, 2 or 3 times as he's going down to the first floor. And so you just see a still photo and a still picture, and then all of a sudden they'll start moving because the dust was too heavy and it was
Motherfucker keeps doing this.
causing trouble with the cameras. It's that same dust that then sets off the alarm. That's the fire alarm that goes off. Now, the fire alarm
See you, teddy
is very
bear.
loud, as I told you. It's not on all that long, less than a minute or so, because it's controlled by an administration building. And they can go in and turn it off because it's loud. And the normal practice is to go and turn it off and have people go to see whatever set off the alarm, to go, they check it out, and then they decide whether, they need to call back to the administration to restart it because there's a fire and you got to evacuate the school because that's the plan. If there's a fire, you evacuate. And then they can call over the school PA system into the classroom to let them know that's what's happening. So the alarm can shut off after just being on a short while. It is on, and then it is off while the shooter's on the first floor. He hasn't left the first floor. It's on and off, and it really doesn't come on for about over a minute after he begins to shoot.
Everyone's left.
He continues down the hallway, and he approaches another classroom, and he shoots into that classroom, which is actually the classroom that was next door to where Martin and Luke and Gina were outside of 1215. He shoots into 1214. And there he kills Nicholas Gouret and Helena Ramsey. He can continues down the hallway, and he shoots again, further down the hallway into 12, 13, and he kills Carmen Shintro. It is at that point, when he is down that first floor, he's made it down, as you can see, where 1213 is, he's made his way down the floor, first floor. It is about that time that the security cameras pick up that golf cart. You can see in the distance the golf cart all of a sudden appears on the screen, it crosses the screen, and then it disappears. Because it's now going to stop on the southeast corner of the 1200 building. I'll put the other map up for just a second here. The cart comes racing, it's racing between the 7 and 8 building, and it goes to the southeast corner of the 12 building, while the shooter is still on the first floor. He is now down toward the end of that hallway. Now, just prior to that, in the car arriving, a school monitor, Chris Hickson, runs into the 1200 building from the east end. He's running into the building, I'm sorry, from the west end. He runs into the building it's in between 13 and 12, and he runs at the west end of the 12 building. Remember, the shooter, he initially fires down the hallway, and then when Chris Hickson comes into those doors, those west doors, he fires again, and he hits Chris Hickson, the monitor, and Hickson's hit, and he rolls off to the north side of the hallway. There's like a little indentation because there's either a bathroom or there's a closet there. He rolls over that way to get out of the line of fire in the hallway. But he's injured. He's still alive, but he is injured. The monitor, Medina, he drops off the defendant, and he drops off Greenleaf, the security specialist. As I said, the southeast corner of the 1200 building. Just about at the time, the shooter now has made his way all the way down the hallway. And as he gets to the end, he looks and he sees Chris Hickson. And it appears that he fires again into Chris Hickson. And then he turns. I'm going to put the other photograph back up now. He turns because now he's at the far, far west end of the first floor. So he is all the way down at the far west end. And those red and black markings that you see, those are just the placement of security cameras in the school, in the 1200. So now he's made his way all the way down the first floor. And he has killed Luke, Gina, Martin, Alex, Elisa, Helena, Nicholas, Carmen, and Chris Hickson. And Alex Check. He turns, he's going to go up several now. He's going to go up to the second floor. He's going to turn to his left and go into the first floor stairwell at the west end of the building. And as he does that, the timing could not have been worse. As he turns and goes into that stairwell landing on the first floor, the school monitor, another school monitor, Aaron Feiss, is rushing into the building. And Aaron Feiss opens the door to go inside, and the shooter is right there, and he shoots and kills Aaron Feiss. And Aaron Feiss does not make it inside the building. He gets shot twice, he's killed, and he falls on the outside patio. The defendant and Greenleaf are at the other end of the building. They are at the far other end of the building, the outside. They are about as far away from the shooter as they could possibly be at that point. Those shots are heard. The defendant will yell shots fired into his BSO. He has two radios. One is the school radio, one is the BSO dispatch. He will yell shots fired. At the same time, you'll see video of students who were evacuating the 700 building. And now this is where things get a little interesting, but a little complicated in the sense that you had a fire alarm go off, and then it gets shut off. And there was no reporting back of what the fire was, so nothing came over the school, the PA system. So the kids in the 700 building start to evacuate. They're doing what they're supposed to do when there's a fire. So they start coming out. That building faces the 1200 building. And that building does not have an inside. The corridors are this constant wall facing inside. So this is the 700 building. And those students are coming out because they're following their fire evacuation plan when they hear the shots. And you can tell they're all kind of just walking out because they think it's a fire, and then or a drill, probably most likely, and then all of a sudden they hear something and they just go scattering back to the 700 building. Shooter continues up and down the second floor. Now, the kids in the 700 building were evacuating for a fire. The students and teachers on the second floor of the 1200 building have heard the gunshots. They had the training the month before about what to do when you have an active shooter, and they have all gone into their classrooms. They've gone into the safest portions of those classrooms, the hardened areas, those areas where if you shoot through the door, you don't open it, but you shoot through it because it should be locked, you wouldn't be able to hit anyone because they would all be in a hardened corner. And when the shooter gets up to the second floor, it's empty. There's nobody in the hallway. Totally empty. And he begins to make his way down the second floor. Now he's going again from west to east. He's done the whole first floor, and he's going the other direction on the second floor from west to east. And as he goes down that floor, he shoots into classroom 1231. There's nobody to hit, but he shoots three rounds into that classroom. And then he'll continue further down. That classroom, 31, faces the north side of the corridor. And then he shoots into 1234, which faces the south side of that corridor. Nobody in that either. Now we have to go back outside. What's happening outside, right? For approximately 27 seconds, you do not see Kelvin Greenleaf or the defendant, Peterson. You don't see them because there's no camera in front of the 1200 building. They are standing where they were dropped off. You do see the cart that brought them there, with Medina driving it, it goes off. You see that go off into the distance to the east. But they are left there. And they stand there for approximately 27 seconds or so. And then they move. And they move, and I know this is getting a little back and forth, but I have to, it's a little hard to tell, but they move from the southeast corner of the 1200 building to right here between the 700 and the 800 building. There's an alcove. That is the alcove that the cart had run through. It's coming up from building 1 to building 12. So there's an alcove there, and that's where they move. They go from the 1200 building to the alcove. The defendant will never leave that alcove while the shooter is in the building. And actually doesn't leave it until almost 40, give or take 40 minutes or a little bit longer when everything is finished. The whole time he's there is about 48 minutes or so. And that is from when he first arrives, which is where the shooter at that point is on the second floor until it's all over. By 3:11, they were already evacuating kids out of the building. Kelvin Greenleaf is over there with him. Let's see, he's not a police officer, he's just a security specialist. He doesn't have a weapon. The third floor. You will hear video, you will see a video from the third floor. You will be able to hear what they heard coming from the first floor when the gunshots were being fired one-on-one before the alarm goes off. And everyone is sort of, you'll see, they're all sort of looking around like, what was that? What was that? And somebody says, they give different explanations for what the noise was that they were hearing. Then the alarm goes off. And when the alarm goes off, they decide to start to evacuate because the fire alarm is going off, so they'll evacuate. Now, some kids initially go to the east stairwell, but both of the kids go to the west stairwell. And it's organized because they just think it's a fire drill, because now that the alarm is on, they're going to walk out. It turns out that as the kids on the west end of the third floor of that building, they're all trying to go down the stairs, so that would be here. Now, remember, we're talking about the 1200 building. The defendant is over here with Kelvin Greenleaf, and we're talking now about the third floor of the 1200 or the 12 building, and that is this floor here on the top, west end and east end. On the east end, The kids sort of back up a little bit out of this, they're taking the time, they're getting down the stairwell, it's starting to back up. And one of the students, Armand, gets pushed toward the window. And he looks out and he can see Greenlee, and he can see Scot Peterson where they were first dropped off at the southeast corner of the 1200 building. And he sees that Deputy Peterson has his gun out, so he knows something's not right. Well, they're there getting ready to evacuate when the shooter now is on the second floor and he shoots into those two classrooms, right? They hear those bullets and you see them all turn around and fly back up to the third floor. They're all going back to their classrooms. There are students at the very first students in front of the whole crowd who are going down that east stairwell. Do not turn around. But they continue down. They continue down to the first floor. One of them goes and starts to look. They come down that exactly where the shooter had started, right? They come down that stairwell on the east side. One of them goes and looks down the first floor corridors, and then the corridor and other ones follow. And all of a sudden, you will see from the camera on the first floor and then from the stairwell, they have seen the carnage. They have seen what happened on that floor, and they go flying out the doors, the first floor east doors, the same doors shooter came into just a few minutes before. When that happens, right? Remember, those shots went off on the second floor. The defendant and Greenlee have now moved to that position over the 700 building, that alcove. And they have a perfect view of the 1200 building, the east side, and its whole south side. Because they can, from this spot, they are able to see, from that spot there, they can see the 1200 building, east and the south side, all the way down to the west part of the 13 building. Those 5 students are flying out of the 1200 building on the east side. Nobody stops them. Nobody asks them what's going on. You see security specialist Greenlee, who's he's to the south, which would be the defendant is here. He's just sort of right behind him. And the camera picks up Greenlee. That camera picks up Greenlee. If there's another camera that's looking down the side of this building, all the way down here, that picks up defendant Peterson at points where he's coming in and out of the alcove. He stays in the same spot, but he moves a little bit back and forth, and sometimes you can see him, and sometimes you can barely see him. But Greenlee is right behind him, and you see Greenlee like going, to the kids, move, or just gesturing at them. Nobody talks to them. Nobody finds out why are they fleeing out of the building. And there's no cameras on that east end of the building to show them coming out. You see them from the inside running out after they see what happened on the first floor, but you don't get to see what happened when you're outside. But nothing. They're not talking. And that was a reaction because the rest of the students had heard those shots on the second floor and they all went back upstairs. You're also going to hear a video, see a video, because let me back up just a little. I told you the surveillance video, right? That's from the school and there's no sound. There's no sound and it's motion censored. And that's what makes it stop. There's also body worn camera video that comes from the police officers, BSO. They have their cameras on their vests to the front, and so they have the films what they're doing as they're going through their day. Then you'll be seeing body worn camera. That does have sound. You'll also be seeing cell phone video, which of course, as you all know, has sound and picture. Back on the first floor in classroom 1213, a student is making a recording of what's happening. While they're hunkered down in the room, she makes a recording on her cell phone. And the first recording picks up, you hear the gunshots and the fire alarm is going off. The second recording, the fire alarm shuts off. And you'll have an opportunity to listen to it. It's when the defendant is on the first floor, and he had, not the defendant, but the shooter's on the first floor. And he has moved down. In the first video, he's right on the first part of the floor. In the second video, he's made his way to when Aaron Weiss comes in the building. And on that video, you hear bang, bang, bang. And that's Aaron Weiss being killed. And then you hear the shots, the bang, bang, bang from the second floor. Three shots into 1231 and 3 shots into 1234. And now the shooter has finished the second floor. He gets into that stairwell, the east stairwell. He's one flight above where he entered. And he's going to climb up the stairs and he's gonna enter the third floor. The kids in the third floor who were evacuating for that fire drill don't all make it back in the classrooms. There's still people in the hallway. The video that the student in the first floor had, you'll see that was recorded, the second one, captures the sound of what happens when the shooter gets onto the third floor. He opens the door from that stairwell and he's on the east end, he turns again to the west, just like he did on the first floor, and he starts firing. You can hear it on that cell phone video. At the exact same time, Deputy Peterson is 3 floors down over at the alcove. So he's just catty corner and below of where the shooter is. The shooter's up here on the third floor and he's over here. He's on dispatch. He's talking to BSO dispatch, and in the background you hear all the shots. Those shots, as that shooter comes out of the door, the very first classroom is 1256, which that classroom faces north, 1256. This is the east end of the third floor. And teacher Scott Beagle has gotten all his kids back into the classroom, and he's attempting to get the door closed and locked when the shooter comes out of the stairwell. And he shoots and kills Scott Beagle. He doesn't make it back into the classroom, he just collapses right there at the door in the hallway. Right next door to Mr. Beagle's classroom is classroom 1255. Stacy Littell is the teacher in that classroom. She gets all her kids in, and she manages to get herself in and close the door, but she does get hit. She survives, but she does get hit. Now, he's also been firing down the hallway, just like he did in the first floor. Those bullets are flying down the third floor hallway. Those bullets hit Meadow Pollock. They hit Carol Laughlin. They hit Joaquin Oliver. They hit Peter Wang. They hit Jamie Gutenberg. They injure Anthony Borges. They injure Marian Kavchenko. And they injure, well, I've already told Stacy Littell was already injured. Meadow Pollock and Kara Laughlin end up here. They're on the south side of a locked classroom. I'm sorry, look here, south side of a locked classroom in the little indentation, the little area where the 2 doors are, just like on the first floor where Gina and Luke and Martin were. But they're up in the room. They've been hit. You can't see Kara, but you do see Meadow. She's moving. And I'm sorry, and there was one more person hit, injured but not killed, was Kyle Lehman. So it was Kyle Lehman, Anthony Borges, Stacy Littell, and Marian Kavchenko. The doors to the bathrooms on 3 and 1 are locked. They were locked because there were vaping problems going on in the school, and so only the doors to the bathrooms on 2 were open so they could control traffic in and out of the bathrooms. Joaquin Oliver and Kyle Lehman and another kid make it into that little alcove that's in front of the bathroom, which is on the north side of the hallway, or the end here, on the third floor. The shooter reloads, and when he reloads, some of the kids and the teacher are able to flee and get down and out the west end stairwell. Jamie Gutenberg was one of them, but she got hit just as she was approaching the exit door to the stairwell, and it hit her in the spine. She makes it outside the door and collapses onto the landing. She's on the west side, west end stairwell, third floor, and she collapses on the landing. She dies. Peter Wang is also running towards that door, and he gets hit. And he falls down, and then he sort of is sitting up against the far west wall. There's doors on one side, there's doors that go out to the stairwell, the west stairwell, and then there's doors for teacher's lounge on this other side, and he's leaning up against the wall. Anthony Borges has fallen. He's on the floor. And he can't move. He's in great pain. He survives, but he's in great pain. He can't move. Kyle Lehman has been shot badly in his ankle. And he's in there with Joaquin. Joaquin can't move. Joaquin is sitting also up against the wall. He can't move. And Kyle and the other kid, or the other person who's in there, when they actually, when the shooting, when he reloads, they take off, and he's able to get out of the building.
The shooter reloads, goes down the hallway, and as he passes Kara and Meadow, he fires again. Killing both of them. He continues down. He looks to his right, outside of the men's room, the door is locked. He's walking out. Joaquin puts his hand up as though to shield himself, and the bullet goes through his hand into his brain and instantly kills him. He then continues down the rest of the hallway, and he fires numerous shots into Peter Wang, killing Peter Wang. You now have 14 kids, 14 students, and 3 staff members, teachers, staff members of the school who have been shot and killed. The shooter gets to the end of the hallway and goes into the teacher's lounge. And he's at 3rd floor, west end. He goes into the teacher's lounge. The defendant, Peterson here, is still in his position in the alcove between the 7 and 800 buildings. The shooter goes into the lounge and he fires 5 shots into the hurricane-proof windows. Some of them face south, some of them face west. 5 shots to the south, 5 shots to the west. The bullets do not go anywhere. The windows are hurricane-proof. It breaks and shatters them, but they really don't go, and they don't hit anyone. He's done. 6 minutes, 40 seconds. He's done. He walks out of the teacher's lounge in and around, it would be about 2:27, 30 or 40 seconds. You see him, he walks directly across in front of Peter Wang and into the doors that lead down the stairwell. Jamie Gutenberg is still on the right. And by just a few seconds before 2:28 in the afternoon, he exits the west end of the trouble. He goes all the way down the stairs, he goes back into the court. He doesn't go through that door where Aaron Weiss was, the door that leads just into the stairwell. He goes through the door that leads to the 1st floor, turns sharp left and outside. He then proceeds, he's heading west, and he's heading west and a little bit south. And he's going to go, he's fleeing toward that west side of the school. So he comes out this way. And when he comes out here, then Peterson is still here, and he doesn't see him. And then the shooter just runs off, and eventually about an hour or so, he's captured. Then Peterson remains in this position until approximately 11:73. Some approximately 40 minutes after he had gotten to that position from when he left 1200 building, outside 1200 building. You will hear from several witnesses. You're going to hear from Kevin Keldon Greenleaf, who says that when he was there with Ben Peterson by the 1200 building and then in the corridor between 7 and 8, that those shots were coming from the inside of the 1200 building. You're also going to hear from Officer Arnold. He is way over here. It's a little hard to see. There's a baseball diamond. And he, on his part-time, when he's off work, he waters the baseball diamond to get ready for the nighttime baseball games. When he starts to hear the commotion and the shots, he starts moving toward the trouble, and he will come all the way over into this general area. And he also says the shots are coming from inside the 1200 building. Just a few more things I want to go over. Elliot Bonner is also a monitor, and he will be the one who also hears the shots are coming from
He made me say,
inside the 1200 building, and he orders a code red. And this happens
I thought that as well.
around 2:30, 2:24. It's well into when the shooting started.
One more hour to go, and that's done. 50
The code
minutes.
red means everybody, there's an active shooter, get into your classrooms, get into your hardened areas. You will see him as he kind of gets closer to the building, and then he pulls away. After that, now I told you the shooter left that building, was out of there by 2:28. At 2:32, Coral Springs Police Department, they enter the west end of the building. And they begin to search the building. You see, Hickson, he's still alive. They put him on a cart. He's carried away shortly thereafter, passing away. A few minutes later, it's a mix of Coral Springs and BSO. They will enter both sides. They will enter the east end of the building. And when they do that, when they enter from the east end of that building, Defendant Peterson is still in his position. And he remains in his position as they enter that building. And he is, remember, as I told you, the one man who would know the inside of that building today. If 2 days later, in an interview with Detective Curcio is taking interviews with everybody. He's the lead detective on the Cruz case, the shooter's case. And he's just taking statements from people to find out what they did that day and what was going on, so he can gather information. And the last charge that you heard the judge read, the perjury charge, it comes from that statement, wherein the defendant doesn't, or says that he only saw so many children, and he come out of the building and didn't see any children, and also he heard only a few shots. And none of the perjury charges arise out of that end, out of that entry. It was a horrific day. And 17 beautiful people were lost. Another 17 were injured. The ones in this case, the charges all stem from the third floor. They're all from either people who passed away on the third floor or who died on the third floor. But overall, it was a unspeakable, horrible thing.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Hang on. Amy, appreciate you. I know I couldn't carry on. Spider Girl, you lazy bitch. Sorry, Router died, aka I fell asleep. So, Spider, I'll be honest with you, we did the weapons trial. I'm only joking, by the way. I'm sorry to hear that. We had a vote, and we went for this trial instead because it was just too much hard work. After the other trial, we could be bothered. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to regret doing this trial because already I'm a bit like, fuck, it's heavy. This is heavy. So you know, miss. So basically, all we're doing, we're playing the opening 2 statements, and then we're done for the night. Starting back up. I'm not sure what I'm telling you because you'll be sleeping. But at 7:45, first video is playing at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and that's gonna be of all this afternoon, which is about 3-4 hours, and then that day as well, we'll play at 1.25. Get it? Fucking you two picking on me all the time. What the fuck? You're supposed to be on my side. And Amy, don't worry, I'm feeling it as well. Not sure if Shelley's here. Another CG, lock him up. I don't know anything about this. I'm not sure. Heidi ho. Right, Lady Law's here somewhere. So hopefully.
We are here because my client was sacrificed.
Here we go.
The evidence will show that he was thrown under the bus. My client is not a criminal, and the evidence will not prove that he committed any criminal offenses at all. He didn't know where those shots were coming from precisely.
Sorry.
We've got 22 witnesses under subpoena.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about that. Heidi ho. I didn't even think about that. Hi ho. It's off to work we go. That's what I was thinking. But Heidi ho.
Who will come in here and tell you that they too heard the same shots my client did and could not discern precisely where the shots were coming from. There was a pronounced echo and reverberation that the witnesses will talk about that left them hearing the same shots and wondering, Where is that coming from? He did everything that he possibly could with the limited information that he had to help serve and protect everybody at that school. He was sacrificed.
Objection, Your Honor.
So opening statement. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this purpose of opening statement is for the lawyers to tell you what they believe the evidence is going to show, but I'll remind you what the lawyers say is not evidence. Go ahead, sir.
Details matter. We wanted jurors who are extremely detailed. And I'm going to get into the weeds so you understand specifically what occurred. Numbers. Let's talk some numbers because they don't lie and that kind of sets the parameters of what happened. First number, 6:36. 6 minutes and 36 seconds. That's how long that monster, Nicholas Cruz, was in the 1200 building committing his atrocities. Nearly 6 minutes and 36 seconds. My client was there at the end of his rampage for 4 minutes and 15 seconds. I want to make sure you all had notepads. You can write down these details. They're critical. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. What is not in dispute at all is that when the shooter was on the first floor, killing faculty and children, my client wasn't even on the scene yet, which is why he's not charged at all with those offenses. 17 and 17, more numbers that do not lie, that are uncontroverted. 17 children, 17 total people were killed as a result of this atrocity. 17 were injured. Of the 17 that were killed, 14 of them were children. I want you to take a look and understand why we're here. We're here because of this monster. This person chose to commit one of the worst mass shootings in our nation's history. He destroyed families, he destroyed lives. Everyone was affected by his terror. He is the one to blame for what happened that day. That is not in dispute. He chose to arm himself with an automatic, powerful weapon and kill
Hopefully see you
innocent
tomorrow,
people.
Kim. Good
Those are
night.
actual screenshots of him doing what he did.
Appreciate you being here. No worries,
Not
Lilo.
if, but when you have very strong feelings in this case, whether it be because of the photos that they intentionally introduced showing blood, gore, understand who's responsible for that. Not my client. More numbers, 32. 32 years my client dedicated himself to law enforcement and serving this community. 32 years, an unblemished record. You know, we have this image of cops as they age, as being in one of two categories. That idea that you've got some donut-eating, lazy cop who's got 1 foot in retirement, can't wait to get out the door. That was not my client. Every single witness we've spoken to, and who will testify, will tell you he was an exemplary officer. No ideas that he might be a coward in any way. He was great at what he did. A loving father of 4 children, 2 who served in the military, lovely wife. He went to work that day never thinking that some sick, twisted monster would do what he did. My client was one of those ones that Marjory Stoneman Douglas, who would get in the middle of kids who were fighting. He would risk his life to protect others. If anybody needed any investigation done, he was there for them. Everybody will tell you, teachers, faculty, if they needed something done, he was the guy. He took care of them. He devoted his life to what he called his children. His children. He's broken up about what occurred. He was an award-winning deputy. In 2012, he won Parkland's Deputy of the
You're
Year.
going to object.
2000
What's the legal objection?
It's argument, and it's also, that was part of, I believe, our motion limiting in this case. The court ruled on it and previously.
No, it's overruled as to both again, but the attorneys think the evidence is going to show at trial. Go ahead, sir.
The evidence will show that he won in 2012 Parkland's Deputy of the Year. In 2015, he won Parkland's School Resource Officer of the Year. And then once again, in 2016, he won Parkland's Deputy of the Year. This is within just 2 years of the February 2018 vicious attack on that school. This was an award-winning, decorated officer. He was an elite officer who did his job zealously and professionally and with courage. So what we have here is a man with a decorated history of serving the community for 32 years, and in literally 4 minutes and 15 seconds, they're claiming he became a criminal. That's what they're alleging. And understand what we're here for. We're not here to say, well, could he have done things differently if he had certain information? Administratively, should he have been, reprimanded? Should we award money to people? That's not what we're here for. We're here for one purpose. Because as we've learned, someone from their office filed a document, a charging document, claiming 11 counts. And he has stood before this court and he said, I am not guilty. And for 4 years, every time he came to court, he said, I am not guilty. Because he's innocent. And he did not accept responsibility for crimes that he did not commit. Now, how did we get here? We'll talk about that now. How does a decorated officer who did everything he could with the knowledge that he had, and we'll get into that, how does he sit as a defendant with his liberty at stake in criminal court? Details matter. So let's go back to February 14, 2018. That's when the massacre occurred. Now, whether it's right or wrong, the people at the top always get blamed. Sometimes it's justified, sometimes not. If it's raining outside, well, it's the president's fault. Gas prices go up, president's fault. But sometimes it's justified. What I will not do in this case at all is tell you whether Sheriff Scot Israel, who was the head of the Broward Sheriff's Office, whether it was justified that he was getting tons of criticism immediately after this. I will not get into that because I don't like the idea of anybody blaming someone without having all the facts. I won't do that. I won't be a party to that. You got one finger pointing out, you got three pointing back. But what I will say is that the governor did find that he was incompetent and he was removed from office. But before that ever happened, Sheriff Israel, who was on the hot seat, did a Jake Tapper CNN town hall meeting.
Budget objection irrelevant.
Well, as to the relevancy objection, it's overruled, but Mr. Igars, let's stick to what you think the evidence is going to be in this case. Go ahead, sir.
If they don't call him, we will call Sheriff Israel to testify. We will. We have no burden in this case, but we will make sure that we call him to testify. And he will admit to you that he was under pressure. Naturally so. He's at the top. People started to question why certain deputies didn't go in, and we'll get to why they did. He wasn't the only one, by the way. There was at least 6 others that we will call to testify. We will explain why they didn't go into the building either. They also thought the shots were coming from a different area, based on the reverberation and based upon the echo. Good, meaningful, dedicated officers. Some who initially lost their job, but then fought and got it back, and they're working now. They have their jobs. My client's fighting for his liberty. But Sheriff Israel took that heat. I'm not saying it's justified, but he was under the gun. A lot of heat's coming his way. So he goes on CNN town hall meeting with Jake Tapper, televised, for everybody to see. And he defends consistently. Before that, after that, he's defending his officers. They did the best they could with the information that they had, based upon the circumstances. He knew no one had done anything wrong. Well, that didn't fly. He will tell you that even after he went on to that Jake Tapper town hall meeting, yeah, people didn't like some of the things he said, including that he showed great leadership. And his officers didn't do anything wrong. He took a lot of heat. So what does he do? Understand, he's the head of BSO. Thousands of deputies. But like any of us, we have supervisors. And if something looks wrong, you bring in somebody and you say, well, tell us what happened. Why did you go in? And you sit down and talk to him. You think that occurred? No, because that didn't fit his agenda. What you will learn, the evidence will show, is that Sheriff Scot Israel puts Sheriff Scot Israel number one. Sheriff Scot Israel's ego is not his amigo. So what he did is the very next day, after he took the heat, after that CNN town hall meeting, and just so we're clear, this is who we're talking about. This is him at the CNN town hall meeting, defending everybody, no problem, but then he took the heat. And the very next day, this is him, at a very famous press conference that set into motion why he's sitting there.
Objection, Your Honor.
Again, it's overruled, if that's what the lawyer believes the evidence is going to show. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll remind you, opening statements, this is not evidence. What the lawyers tell you is not evidence. It's what they believe the evidence is going to show. The objection is overruled. Go ahead, sir.
This press conference set into motion such unbelievable pressure. We'll talk about what happened. Let's talk about what he said and what he didn't say.
He announces to the world, with all the media there, this was the biggest case around, biggest atrocity. People want to know what happened. And at that press conference, he said, regarding my client, well, he didn't go in to kill the killer. Now, what did that mean to all of us? I mean, anyone watching. Okay, wait a second. Someone from the police force, it's not very usual. What made it so credible is it's not usual to hear a police officer say something negative about another police officer. But even worse, what made his words so problematic is that it came from the top. A guy that people knew, a public figure, who spent his career trying to get everyone to perceive him as credible and believable and honest. And now he's throwing my client under the bus. He's saying he should have gone in to kill the killer. What did that mean to all of us? Number one, wait, I guess he must have known where the shooter was. Number two, my goodness, he must have known kids were being killed in that building, which he did not. He sat back and did nothing. He cowered it. It did nothing during that time period. Well, naturally, all of us, and I include myself, said, my goodness, what kind of person does that? It was perfect. The media ran with it because now you had a villain. They had crews, but now you had a villain. Imagine a veteran officer with a naked scene, huddled down, and just did nothing and protected himself. That's not what happened. But that served Sheriff Israel's purpose. And here's what's more insulting and worse. Not only didn't he try to reach out to my client, the argument would be, well, there's thousands of deputies. Why would he reach out to my client? Because they were friends, ladies and gentlemen. Friends. Sheriff Israel worked as a football coach at Marjory Stoneman Douglas while my client was there. Sheriff Israel's 3 sons all went to Marjory Stoneman Douglas when my client was there. Sheriff Israel constantly spoke with my client, even asked him for help. When one of his sons got stung with a bee at the school, he called Scot Peterson. When another son was hanging out with the wrong crowd, Scot Peterson was there to help. He had Scot Peterson's cell phone number. All he had to do if he cared about the truth was call him up and say, why did you go in? How rough was it? Tell us what happened. The evidence will show he didn't do it, and there's only one reason why. Because anything my client said, which would have explained why he didn't go in, would not have served Scot Israel. He didn't want to hear the other side. He needed a scapegoat. It's politics 101.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's going to be sustained at this point. Mr. Igarsh, let's get on to the facts.
The evidence will show that Scot Israel said, I give you Scot Peterson.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's sustained, Mr. Igarsh.
So what happened
Hold on,
next?
Sir, we're not going to talk about the former sheriff anymore. Just
Got
what
it.
you believe the evidence is going to show at trial. Go ahead, sir.
Got it. So as a result of that press conference, everything goes out there. And then it's no surprise. The governor gets involved.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's sustained. Quick sidebar. You want to do the hits?
Oh, this is going to be complex. This is, whoa, this is quite heavy. This is a lot heavier than I thought, to be quite honest. Shelley, I remember him as well on somebody's trial, but I don't remember who was either. Jeez. Does anybody know what's he, what kind of, like, is he gonna get, like, what's the punishment for this? What are they going for? Jail? Prison? Sorry, prison? What? Yeah, what is the sentencing? Oh, this is clever. Volume off, but they got headsets on. That's really clever, actually. That's very modern world. Oh no, I've got no opinion on guilt either, to be fair. Oh, that's all right, Shell. Still know where the kids bled out. Yeah, I think it's a bigger story than what we're hearing right now, isn't it? To be fair. Drive safely, Lilo. That's all I'll say to you. Drive safely, please. I like this setup though. In the sense of headsets, audio's good. Everything sounds good. I'm just not sure about the actual case. As I said, I'll try my best. Well, I think we'll get trigger warnings from the judge whenever this could be stuff because of all the family in the courthouse. So
Wilson?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
You'll hear that the man that we're talking about, Sheriff Israel, is someone who, when received, he got an email from one of the parents in this case. And the parent asked him, why didn't he go in? Why? He could have prevented my daughter's death. And Sheriff Israel responded, well, we're wondering ourselves. Can't teach courage, his whole thing. But what he failed to tell her was, your daughter was killed on the first floor. He wasn't even at the scene at that time. That's not even, you heard that from the state, that's not even a contradiction. My client was even on the scene, he was heading towards the scene. This is a man who cared so much about himself, the evidence will show, that to this day, I believe that there is a mother whose child was killed on the first floor, who blames my client because Sheriff Israel never told her the truth. That is so disturbing. And I'm going to ask him about that. He needs to answer that publicly. You're going to learn that an investigation began. And the lead investigator, Keith Riddick, who I'm going to have on the stand for quite some time, he's got a lot of explaining to do. It will not be quick first. Just a little taste. I will ask him, this issue, big issue in this case is what my client knew, right? Because he's saying he didn't know where the shots were coming from at certain times. Thought maybe the 1200 building, but maybe the 1300 building, the 700 building. There were so many things going on that my client then says on his radio, while he believes the shooter is still in the building, Perry, referring to Deputy Perry, who was with someone who was injured. He just announced he was with someone who was injured. He said, Perry, does he know where the shooter is? Asking in real time. Does that person know where the shooter is to try to find out where it is? And you will learn that Keith Riddick left it out of his report. And when asked, why? He said, well, the shooter was gone by then. I said, you mean by a minute and a half? No one on the scene knew the shooter had gone. He left through the west exit. My client didn't know. No one knew. Don't you think that goes to a state of mind? No, I don't. That's what you're dealing with. Or number two, he wrote, there's no evidence to support what my client said to investigators, that he ordered a code red. Yet, Anna Ramos, we will call her, she will take the stand, she works for the school. She heard my client immediately order a code red for the benefit of all the kids, including the ones on the third floor that he had accused of neglecting. She came up to him and gave him a hug at one of the funerals to thank him for ordering the code red because it saved lives. Jeffrey Morford, assistant principal, he heard my client order the code red over the school radio. And then as a result, he said he ordered the code red. He only did it because he told me he heard Peterson do it. But Morford is credible and believable, yet Riddick, the lead investigator, fails to include that information in his report. This was you will learn, the evidence will show, a biased and failed investigation from the beginning, which ultimately led to charges like child neglect. We'll focus more on that throughout this case, but somehow all of this leads to child neglect, charging him as if he's a mother who fails to give their child water or food, or a teacher.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's sustained. Go ahead, sir.
The
What you
evidence
believe
will-
the evidence will show.
The evidence will show that they charge him with child neglect, ladies and gentlemen. More on that throughout this case. Now, let's talk about the facts of what occurred and what really happened. And you've got paper and pen. Make sure that you understand exactly what occurred. Let's do a general overview first. Prosecutor kind of went over it with you. I want to start big, and then we'll get down into the minutia. I absolutely want to make sure at all times you understand this fully. If there's ever a time that I think I might need to go back and make it clear, forgive me. It's only because I want you guys to fully understand what's going on here, okay? So first, this is a kind of an overview of the school. Now, while this board is small, it in no way represents the 45 acres that the school is. I need you all to understand that because unfortunately, we're not going to get to go to the school together. We're not. So I'm gonna have to do the best I can to recreate it. And like going to Paris and seeing the Eiffel Tower or Egypt and the pyramids, there is no way to properly recreate it. There's not, we're at a loss. So I'm gonna do my best.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes, that's a thank you. Another quick sidebar, please.
I think this defense attorney's going to really push the boundaries. I think he's going to really push everything. I don't know what to think already about all this. I'm seeing some chat and stuff. I'm just like me and Mad World are not experts on this. So it's just this is going to be really interesting, I think, just for us to learn a lot more about school shootings and
Kind
stuff.
of a representation of the school, we'll use this to get a perspective. This is building number one, let's start there. Building number one is where my client's office is, where it was anyway, Scott's office was. And where he was while
I agree,
that
Heidi.
information, there was firecracker complaint inside the 1200 building, okay? So understand, he's here, let me stay general, okay? This is the 1200 building where it occurred. This is literally like a football field, I mean, this is far. Then you have next to it the 1300 building, and then you'll hear reference in my opening and throughout this case, the football field. This is over here. This is literally hundreds of yards away, hundreds of yards from the 1200 building. So when you hear, for example, Deputy Kratz, who will testify that he went on his radio during the shooting, while the shooter was actually on the third floor and yells, "Shots fired by the football field, football field." And my client's trying to figure out in real time where the shots are coming from. Deputy Kratz is referring to over here, hundreds of yards away, not where the actual shots were coming from. Kratz will tell you with his own words, he literally thought the shooter was 30 feet away from him on the football field. So this is the overview. Okay, I'll refer to it if needed, but just so you have a perspective. So my client is here, building number one. So he's in, let me take Jeff. Is there a way just to take that off for 1 second? We'll be putting it back up. Thank you, Jeff. So my client was in his office before the shooting took place. And what he was doing is he was investigating a felony. One of the students, an 18-year-old, had a fake driver's license. And what he was doing was he was researching at the time the statute, the felony statute, so he could tell the father who was coming to the school and the daughter, he wasn't going to arrest her or anything, but they want to know it's a very serious offense to possess a counterfeit driver's license. So he was busy researching that. His phone was across the room being charged. What he did over here at one point, wait, shots fired, not shots fired, excuse me, firecrackers in the 1200 building, firecrackers. Now, it was Valentine's Day, there would be fireworks, let off in the building before. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, at that point. So he and Kelvin Greenleaf begin to leave. When they start to run is when all of a sudden fire alarm goes off. You'll see on the video, they start to head towards there and all of a sudden fire alarm, and then they start to run. Now let me just stop. The evidence will not show that then he goes, wait a second, those firecrackers or fireworks could be gunfire. Let me go jump into my car and drive away. You will learn that that never happened. See, that we could all agree would be neglectful. But he immediately runs and then he gets picked up by Andrew Medina, who's driving a golf cart. And the evidence will show you that at no point on their way to the 1200 building does Andrew Medina share with my client some really helpful material. Like he saw someone, that nutty cruise guy, walking with a duffel bag or some type of large bag that potentially contains some serious items in there. And then he walked into the 1200 building. He never shared that with my client. That would have been real helpful. To this day, you'll hear Kelvin Greenleaf testify that he's still angered to this day that Medina never shared that information with any of them. That would have completely changed it. My client would have known, wait.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's the thing, Mr. Aguilar, at this point, I'm going to have to remind you, as I've done repeatedly, this isn't closing argument, this is your opening statement,
Okay.
so let's stick to what you believe the evidence is going to show. Go ahead, sir.
The evidence will show, because we will call Kelvin Greenleaf if they don't, that he never heard Medina at all share with them the information that he had, which could have led to a different trajectory. So now, when he gets to the scene, and you all take a look at this. It's going to be a little overwhelming at first. I promise I'm going to break it down for you, okay? But it's critical that you understand where the shots were coming from, okay? All right, let's stay general on this at first, okay? First, this is the same, we got the same thing that the prosecutor put up in his opening, but there's more detail, so it'll be accurate. First, understand this represents the first floor. Even though these two are together, it's kind of overlapping. The second floor overlaps to show that it's over the first floor. But this is the first floor, right here. And second floor is here.
and then third floor is here. Everybody with me so far, okay? We've got north, west, east, south, so you can see that, okay? And don't look at the shots just yet, okay? That's something we'll get into in just a moment. Let's start general. As I indicated to you.
Mr. Igo, I'm sorry. If you need your support staff to help you move stuff around, I'm gonna ask you to step out of the jury box, please. So you need to be out here in the well of the courtroom.
Okay.
If you want to do the signs one at a time, that's fine. But
That's fair.
I can't have you in the jury box. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I'll stand over here. Everyone can still see? Okay. This is Workpedia. Again, big picture, 6 minutes and 36 seconds, total time he's spending. We're going to show you exactly how we account for that time, okay? And this is not in dispute. I don't think that anyone's going to dispute these times. We made sure that they're actually from the material we received from the state, okay? Deputy Peterson is there for the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And the final 2 minutes of the 4 minutes and 15 seconds, I'm jumping ahead, were spent with the shooter on the third floor, shooting west, the furthest possible distance from where my client was. So let's stay general again. What we didn't learn just yet, and you're about to learn, is this building, the 1200 building, is 73 yards long. The evidence will show that we're talking about 3/4 of a football field. And so that you guys have an idea of what that looks like, I'd like to show you, so you have a perspective of what the building looks like. So if we can turn that back on. This picture doesn't even have the entire building in it. It was the best one that we got. So what I want you to take a look at is this. Let me hit play for a second. This is, here we go. Yeah, this plan. It's from one end all the way to the other end. Take a look. As you can see, this is a huge, huge building. It is nothing like I'm sure you imagine. To give you further perspective, this is to show you just the size and the distance of what we're talking about. What you're seeing now is the last 2 minutes. As I told you, the shooter was in the 1240 building, sniper firing out of 2 windows. What I'm showing this to you right now is just to see the perspective from where that shooter is to where the 700 building is and where my client was located. Try to give you some perspective. I'll pause it at one point. And by the way, what we're looking at is a recreation done by the state of what the shooter was doing. Technology. Give me a moment, folks. I'm just gonna let it run. I will not stop it, but I'll talk over. This is the west side of the building. This is the side that Aaron Price was shot on. And where my client, he was on the other side of this building, 73 yards away. There's the door that you see right there where Aaron Price was shot outside of. And then all the way in the distance, on the other side is where my client was, and to the right is the 700 building. And that becomes key because a lot of kids come out of that building, did the same shots my client did, and thought that those shots were coming from a different location. Okay, so let's continue. The first shots that my client hears
And you'll be able to see it on the video. Everything is corroborated by the video. The first shots occurred here, 2:23:25. 2:23:25. This is, as you can see, the shooter is pointing his gun west, in a westerly direction. My client, by the way, is approaching the east side door, about to go in to check out a firecracker complaint. Not an active shooter. He was not there during the time that the shooter had made his way through the first floor and killed people. No one went on the radio. You'll be able to see the entire dispatch transcript. No one said, shots fired in the first floor, kids being killed. Nothing. He didn't get any of that. You'll be able to see. You'll read it yourself. He gets there, and both him and you'll hear from Greenleaf, they believe they're investigating a firecracker complaint. Because the door was open, shots get fired. My client hears a loud boom. He doesn't think, wait, kids are being killed in the 1200 building. He just hears a loud boom. The first thing he does is he's approaching the door. He never opened up the door, never got to, if he did, if he ever looked in the window or got close enough to do it, he probably would have seen the carnage that was created by Cruz. But he didn't get that chance. He walks close to the door, he hears those shots. The Las Vegas shooting, you will learn, just occurred months before. So sniper fire is one of the possibilities. You hear shots from outside. He feels vulnerable, you will learn, the evidence will show. But the first thing he does is he doesn't run for cover. He stands there out in the open and immediately does what a cop does. You report shots fired. Here are his dispatch remarks. And the first one he makes at 2:23:26. Note it was 1 second after Aaron Weiss is shot from outside. My client immediately gets on his police radio and he says, be advised, we have possible, could be firecrackers. So let's start there. 4 minutes and 15 seconds, the evidence will show, starts to tick when he gets on the scene. He's only got 4 minutes and 15 seconds to get to the shooter and neutralize the threat. But what you're gonna learn is he's still struggling with, firecrackers? And then he says, I think we have shots fired, possible shots fired. And 1200 building is a reference because he's standing 10 feet from the 1200 building. You will see a couple of references to the 1200 building, and the evidence will show that that is his positioning at the time. Not, I'm hearing shots fired with certainty from inside the 1200 building. He never says that. The closest he gets, as you will see, is by inside. He's struggling. When he hears more shots, you will see, the evidence will show, that one of the options is by the 1200 building, because the building's 73 yards long, and that contains a large area, and also possibly inside sniper firing, which is exactly what it turned out to be. All that's in play. You will learn that we know so much now about what actually happened.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's sustained, sir.
The evidence will show that neither he nor the officers in real time had all the information that we have today. That's just a fact. So everything in his mind is in play. Everything you will learn is a possibility at that moment. Now, this is telling, because right after this, again, we're talking about 20 some odd seconds later, my client is saying, make sure we get some units over here. I need to shut down Stoneman Douglas. This is the first of 5 transmissions where my client's making it clear, we need to shut down this school. He doesn't say, we need to get into the 1200 building because kids are being killed. He says we need to shut down the school because the evidence will show that he and the other officers will testify to it. They all believe that the gunfire could be coming from anywhere, and that if, as school is letting out, parents come in, students are coming out, they could all be hit by gunfire around the building, anywhere on campus. Not, the evidence will show, not that everything was contained within the 1200 building and someone needs to rush in there. That's what the evidence will show. So my client, you will learn, went with Kelvin Greenleaf. He doesn't stand in the open, but right before he does, not only does he make this first transmission to set the cavalry, you'll hear many officers saying that my client was a great service to them because they didn't know about the shooting until he announced it. I mean, he set in motion the wave of all the officers coming to the scene. He did his job. You will learn then that he also gets on a school radio before, again, going to this tactical position of cover. Before he does that, he gets on a school radio and he announces code red for the benefit of everybody on that campus. Then he doesn't stand out in the open, you will learn. He goes and he makes sure that he and Kelvin Greenleaf are protected over here because you will learn that both of them, Kelvin Greenleaf will say, listen, you don't stand out in the open. In fact, my client even said at one point to Kelvin and others, get away, get out of the way. I want to highlight just some of the other things that my client said in real time. And I also want to go into greater detail during the trial, okay, about what each of the shots meant and what he was thinking throughout this. But ultimately, you will learn that there was literally 34 seconds from these shots to here for my client to have gotten up and then somehow neutralized or killed the killer. You will learn that it took a SWAT team of 12 people, 30 minutes to clear the first floor, second floor, because you don't just go running into the third floor and kill the killer. The evidence will show that the SWAT team had to first go through every classroom. It took them 30 minutes to clear the first floor, second floor, third floor. The evidence will show that even if my client knew, which he didn't, where precisely the shots were coming from at 4 minutes and 15 seconds when that started, there is no way he would have made a difference. No way.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's the same.
The evidence will also show that you'll hear from the officers who are over here, west of the building, that even when the shooter was in the middle of the third floor, that these officers thought that the shots were coming from a different location, outside, not inside. Just a few more translations I want to go through. And again, we have the whole trial to be together to go through everything. I want to bring it all out in my opening. We'll get to it. Okay? I'm anxious for you to hear the evidence. Okay? My client is saying, we don't have a description yet. We just hear shots fired. Appears to be shots fired. Again, you see him trying to lock down the school. Get the school locked down, gentlemen. Get it locked down. What that's doing, the evidence will show, is it's keeping officers and people away. Now, did that turn out to be, in retrospect, the evidence will show the wrong decision?
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's the same. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of these opening statements is just to give you a preview of what the lawyers believe the evidence will be. Mr. Agash, I'm going to admonish you at this point. Please refrain from any further argument. Continue and/or conclude your opening statement, please. Thank you.
You will hear officers testify that by shutting down the school, officers didn't get in. And in retrospect, they will tell you.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's sustained. That's sustained. Go ahead, sir.
Great. So again, at 2:25:56, this is all while the shooter is shooting. My client's saying, we're locking down the school. We're locking it down. He's recording. I hear shots fired. So this allegation that he doesn't then include that he heard extra shots, it's right there. It's telling you shots fired. And this is key. This is why I put it in red. My client said at 2:28. So we're talking about literally 25 seconds after the shooter was done shooting. But understand something. The evidence will show. My client didn't know, nor did any of the officers know, that the shooter was gone. He slipped out, you will learn, to the west side door, the opposite side that he came in, and blended in and got away. So all the officers are thinking for quite some time that the shooter or shooters, and by the way, no one knew it was just one. You'll hear from the officers saying there's the +1 rule, that if you think there's one, think that there may be two. If you think that there's three, there may be four. So understand that the evidence will show now we know there's one twisted monster. But at the time, they're thinking there may be multiple. That's what the evidence will show. But here's what my client says. Do not approach the 12 or 1300 building. Stay at least 500 feet away at this point. You will get to decide why my client is including the 1300 building instead of just saying 1200 building. He's also saying, Perry, does he know where the shooter is? Asking in real time, does he know where the shooter is? You will learn that the lead investigator, he will tell you that he left that out of his report because he didn't think that was relevant. Lockdown, right now, nobody's leaving the school, my client says. And still, look at this time, 2:45:25. The shooter's been gone for 18 minutes. And my client is telling everybody, between the 12 and 1300 building is the last time we heard shots. Between the 12 and 1300 building. That's what all the officers heard, that's what they believed. Now, I know you're wondering, didn't he get any information on his radio? Right? You'll learn that kids had cell phones. You will learn that they did call in that there is a shooter, and that shooter is located in the 1200 building. But you will learn that those calls went to Coral Springs Police Department, not Broward Sheriff's Office. You will learn that nobody conveyed the information that went to Coral Springs Police Department with the Broward Sheriff's Office. You will learn that nobody ordered that the radios be patched so that two agencies who are supposed to be working together could know all the same information. You will learn that Coral Springs police officers knew certain information because those calls paid in to Coral Springs. But that the Broward Sheriff's Office officers, like my client, you will see what they learned, and at no time did they ever inform him that there were shots fired inside the 1200 building and that children were being harmed. Even Sheriff Israel will come and tell you that that was a colossal failure that hindered my client. He will also admit to you that the radios that they were using failed miserably. Meaning officers, you will learn, will come in here and say that they were trying to communicate with fellow officers and that the radios were throttling. So when they would try to make any type of announcement or hear things, they couldn't. It was, one officer will testify, it was like having a brick in your hand. Yeah, they have good training, you'll learn, but they never have training where their radios don't work. You will learn that officers will say, yeah, they have training, but they never have training where you have no idea where the shooter's located, just a general area. I have to mention Denise Reed, because the state still, they read her name as somebody they might call. And if they do, I will tell you, this is a assistant principal who may testify, and she may tell you that during the shooting, allegedly, she got within 15 feet of my client and allegedly claimed, hey, there's shooting going on, whatever she's gonna say. I don't know exactly what version she's gonna give to you. But something like indicating that my client must have known then that shots were coming. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence will show that there is a video showing her movement down the hallway. And you will see for your own eyes that in spite of her giving that sworn testimony, that she had this contact with my client, she literally is walking without breaking stride and then goes into the band room and stays in there during the whole shooting. You can clearly see with your own eyes, she never, ever had any contact with my client, in spite of what she may allege if the state calls her. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I want to briefly touch on the perjury count. Just for a moment. Detective Curcio will testify that when my client came in for this interview, it was 2 days after the shooting. He wasn't under investigation at all. That didn't come until a year later with charges brought. So he comes in, and Detective Curcio was the detective in the Nicholas Cruz homicide case. So my client, being a witness, has to be investigated. My client wasn't on the hot seat at the time. My client had no reason to think that he was going to be in trouble at all. The evidence will show that there were just questions asked. So what happened? What did you see? What happened? And specifically, Detective Curcio will tell you that he asked this in a chronological order. Like, okay, so when you got to the scene, you get to that building, how many shots do you hear? My client said 2 to 3, because it's exactly how many he heard. And we know that because the first shots he hears is Aaron Weiss being shot, and he was shot 2 to 3 times. That's the perjury count. Detective Curcio will tell you that he never then asks my client, how many total shots did you hear from beginning to end? He will tell you, yeah, I don't think that question was necessary. That's the perjury count. The second part of the perjury count is they claim that my client saw some kids leave the 1200 building. While my client's on his radios, while he's telling kids in the 700 building, stay back, while he's doing about a million things with the stress of the world on his shoulders.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's sustained.
The evidence will show that they're claiming my client didn't see kids running out of the 1200 building. I'm quite certain you will not see any video of those kids actually leaving. I would imagine if they're representing it, that kids did leave the 1200 building. He told Detective Curcio he didn't see kids leaving the 1200 building. There will be no evidence that those kids ever came up to my client or had blood on them or something to indicate that they need to be spoken to or investigated. The evidence will show he didn't lie about that at all. Another charge for which he did not commit.
Objection argument.
Yeah, that's sustained, Mr. Eaglash. Because of your continued objectionable comments, I'm going to ask you to conclude your opening statement at this time. Go ahead, sir.
I'm concluding, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence will show that my client did not commit any of the offenses alleged. He was sacrificed and thrown under the bus.
Objection argument.
And
That is sustained.
And the only verdict in this case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. The only verdict that speaks the truth in this case, based upon the evidence, is not guilty. Thank you.
The fuck? Wow. Right. For once in her life, Madwell said something sensible. Right. I've never seen Madwell say anything that makes sense to me, but she posted this, right? And I totally agree with her statement here. I no joke, after the Rudolph trial, I was spent, I was done. And we did the Adam Montgomery trial. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, Lady Law came to chat, so we were just like, chatting, blah, blah, blah. Didn't care about the trials. Let's get it over done with. We started streaming this one. I'm 100% invested. 100% invested in this one. Wow. This is unbelievable. And Heidi, you said something as well. I love the different insights. I'm learning off you guys. You might not believe it, but I am learning a shit ton from you guys. Well, most of you anyway. Um, actually, to be fair, all of you. But I think I thought this attorney did a good job as well. Like, I don't know anything about guns. I don't know anything about any of this shit, right? And you know what my philosophy is. Where is it? Where is it? Oh shit, wrong. So, innocent unless proven guilty. I didn't. The prosecutor was a bit like whatever. Um, uh, but the defense one really impacted me. I was like, whoa, whoa. I say I've got into this like he's innocent, so I mean it's not guilty for me. Nothing's changed that. I've not heard anything. We need to see the evidence, obviously. So, um, yeah, Heidi, I'm well invested with this. And you and Amy, honestly, you two, please keep posting. I'm learning shit tons here. Um, I'm also very, um, aware that people might have different views as we move along, and I totally respect that. It's just I hope we all respect each other and stuff like that. So I Lefty, even Lefty made a good point. Lefty made a frigging I can't find it now. It's a shame, but like I think all of us sitting here in his position, we think we're Rambo and run in to that building. But until you're in that position and knowing what he did, you don't know how you're going to react. So I I reserve judgment. I want to know what training he's had, how he was dealt with, what he actually did on the day. There's lots of stuff to learn. What's this? Samsung Q2U. Oh, I don't know what that is. Bloody ow! Until I can get a short like my kid has. You'll get it. You'll get it pretty quickly. Um, yeah, the Madwell again. Yeah, again, hit her off the park. Well, there's support. I'm going to be interested in me and Madwell in this one. I think it's going to be just between me and Madwell what our opinions are on this. Um, One, are we going to be able to put our emotions to the side, Madwell? Because we know nothing about guns except for the bad things about guns, and obviously kids are involved as well. So be interesting, especially because we're from the UK. Lou as well is another one. Um, I don't know you don't want to dump, then don't go for a dump. It's all good. Just stay here. Oh, I don't want to dump. Yeah, I was going to say. Well, you can. You don't have to go for a dump unless you want one. It's all good. Yeah, but let me just. Oh, sorry, we're veering off here. But let me just tell you, right? You would be frustrated. You say that now, but when people tell you, "Can't hear you, Mike. I can't," you're gonna get frustrated. Trust me, you are gonna be a superstar, Lady Law. So make good investments because it's otherwise you're gonna be doubling up on stuff. Look, fucking doubling up on this. Doubling. I got two cameras. It's do it right the first time, and it's well worth it because you know you're gonna be popular. Do you know what I mean? So you can be fine. Even if to made a good point. Oh, to be fair, I was much of a rib lefty. Lefty's taught me. This is shocking, but Lefty has actually taught me a ton of stuff. Um, which is surprising. So I'm open to hearing everything. I have no opinions on guilt at the moment. I have strong feelings. Yeah, yeah, no, no, I know, and this could be interesting for us. I think. on that point. Right, audio mixer. I looked at audio mixers today. I was like, what benefit is it? Uh, I think that I sound really good. What does an audio mixer do for me? Genuine question. I'll buy one, but I don't know what it'll do for me. And maybe you need to send me a link. Trying to do that. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for you. I know it's gonna be hard for both of us, I think, because we're not used to any of this. Yeah, he does watch a lot of content. He jumps in and out everywhere, so um, he got a lot of knowledge. It's gonna be a rough one. But Heidi, Amy, please next time you two were the gobbiest two we got in chat, right? Tell me you want to watch this. I didn't even know what was happening. You got to remember, you're dealing with a dumbwit, yeah, that doesn't know or doesn't plan ahead. So next time, there's a trial going on. I don't have Court TV. We don't have Court TV in the UK, not proper trial thing. So it has to be on Law Network or another site. But I want to watch things that you guys want to watch. I know we're still a small channel, but I still want to watch what you guys want to. Right, I'll get to the comment now. Indeed, Heidi. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, and that's what's the best thing, you know what I mean? Because, as I say, I'm a channel that's innocent until proven guilty. Sorry, innocent unless proven guilty. Lady Laws will kill me. We'll go through it together and learn. Absolutely, this is what I want from this channel, to learn from each other. I didn't want to be pushy. Now, shut the fuck up, right? I, as the owner of this channel, right? Owner of this channel, get bullied and get smashed across the face, my head, by Madwell and Spider Girl every single day. Fucking hell, I get pushed around. Look at Lady Law, she fucking gets me to put my top up, for fuck's sakes. I get pushed around all the time. Do not be shy. And if we can't stream it, I want to get consensus of who wants to watch stuff. That's what I want. No worries, Heidi. See you later. See you in the AM. Never stop learning. Can't apologize. That's good. I know. Unless I always get that one wrong. Boomer streamer. You know it lefts. Here come your shit. Boomer. Love you too, Heidi. Thank you very much. 8 Eastern. Yeah, 8 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 8 o'clock Eastern. Let's do a sound check to see if this mic or other one sounds better. Yeah, let me know when you set it all up, and we can do a mic check. You know that I'm streaming. Obviously, yeah, I'll be streaming anytime you're on Pop On as well. Just do it so after work one night, if you want to pop on, even if it's the end of the stream and you want to pop on for like 5-10 minutes to test it out, happy whenever you want to do. Or if you want to do it, obviously offline, happy to do that as well. So whatever you want. Yeah, it's me, Lady Law, and it's Morgan. So three of us going to be doing it. We'll do an announcement video, but it's in a couple of weeks. It'll be so. I don't even remember the date, to be quite honest with you. The hardest bit I got to arrange, right? Lady Law and Morgan. Morgan's fantastic. Morgan's still new, do you know what I mean? But she's fantastic. She's got opinions. Lady Law's got opinions. But the two of them are the worst at answer DMs. I mean, you won't find two people that's worse than them answer DMs. I've never seen anything like it. Two intelligent women that cannot fucking answer DMs, you know? but on a joking side, it is in a couple of weeks. It's on a Sunday. I think it's going to be about 8 o'clock our time, Mad World. So in the afternoon on a Sunday for everyone else. Yeah, smash my head with a fucking bat. I know. Yeah, that's fine. Anytime. You know, I'm happy to do it. Um, whenever you want. Um, but also, it's just like our stream. Look, everyone that knows me already knows that I don't really plan stuff. I do plan, but I don't. I want everyone to be natural. So everyone can swear, everyone can do whatever they want. Um, and I think Lady Law will help Morgan come out of her shell. Because when Morgan comes out of her shell, guys, I promise you, I promise you, she's feisty as fuck. Morgan is. I'm just like this, fucking hell. And she just runs like fuck. So awesome, yes. And yeah, well, I mean I've left the chicken thread, so I had to leave it. Couldn't handle that chicken thread. Is it still going then? Because I left every thread going. I just couldn't be bothered with it anymore. Too much fucking drama. Um, so yeah, that's where we're at. Start early tomorrow. Oh, let's have a look where we are with our hours as well. I hate plans. I make them and then I always change my mind. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same. Like I will plan for our stream a little bit, probably about half an hour's worth, but you won't know in advance what I'm planning. So I'll throw stuff at you, and most of it's going to be made up anyway. And after that, hopefully, people can be in the stream and they'll dictate it. Um, Lefty, honestly, the best thing that ever happened to you was not being a member of that thread. Um, I had to leave it. It was just too much. Yeah, I mean, no fair. I'm sure people are lovely and stuff, but there's some people in there just couldn't be bothered with. So, right, let's see how many hours. So there's 64 hours in the first stream. Let's see how much this has made us. Um, this is also my problem. I cannot um, do two things at once. Calculator. 0.08 times. Oh, there we are. Okay, let's update it. Let's update the bad boy. Banner. Hide that. 60. Right. Then this one. Oh, now I've got to do math. Oh, I got it. Here we are. So we broke the 400. Way! 386 hours away. We had 82 hours today. Happy days. Never give me, oh, never give me time. Same here. I don't do well with that. Don't do well. Well, you just need to leave because I haven't read any posts in a sec. This is, and also it takes up space on your phone. Oh no, if unless you're the app. No, the app does take up space on your phone. So I must be the other thread. Yeah, that's why I did it. How many do you have left? If that's me, 386 hours. I'm not sure if you meant me though, Lefty. So, oh, right. I've got This has been wonderful. Every time, do you know what? It's a wonderful stream. I love it. I'm glad we've chosen this one now. I think it's a week. Oh yeah. So we've done 82 tonight. Then it's 386 watch hours lefty that I've got left. And that's just to apply for monetization. But it's not just that for me. It's I can do Google ads and stuff like that as well. Um, don't want to say a good yeah, and it's too busy to leave without. Haha. Well, I'd say my excuse is that it takes up memory space on your phone. So, do you know what I mean? I think there's one more thread I need to leave as well, the conspiracy one or whatever it's called. I always forget to do it. Well, you don't feel rude, just fucking go. Sometimes you just got to do it. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna shut off because I got a doctor's appointment in the morning, so I need to be fairly fresh for that, in case he needs to stick a finger up my bum to check my prostate or something. I hope not. He did that a year ago, so I think I'm all right for now. Getting to that age now, we got to have a finger up your lefty. If you haven't had it, you need to get a prostate exam, my son. I don't know what's that a reference for, but I imagine it's inside joke there. Um, so yeah, remember everyone get tested for anything. Well, it's not boo. It's just like I gotta get up early. Do you know what I mean? Circle those and snooze forever. Nah, lefty, trust me, get it. Unless so, my father had prostate cancer, so they said I should get it at 45, but my doctor was like, no, bend over, son. This is not gonna, you're not gonna feel anything. It's gonna be a little bit, got a bit of gel on, and up he popped. It was fine. I didn't even feel anything. Well, I did, but I mean, it was fine. Bye, Amy. Bye, Amy. Bye, Amy. See you in the morning. Lefty's never too early, my friend. Yeah, mine's family history. My father had it. My father had it. So they say 45 for prostate and stuff. So, but my doctor was like, no, you should, he said you should do it at 45. Everybody should do it at 45, he said. But because of my family history, he said, uh, well, he just said, bend over. I'll do it now. That's fair. And also, it's a little bit different in the UK than what it is in the US as well. But if I get off of it, I'm just going to do it because it's like, you know, you just catch it, hopefully early if you got it. I'd say with colonoscopy, I had that last year as well. Um, didn't really want to have it, but I had it. So yeah, do it with 45 sensible, 45 sensible. And because I said that to him, I said, I'll wait till I'm 45. And he goes, no, no, no. I think it is a case of if you've got no family history, then 45 would be fine. But with my history, because I think my father found out when he was like 55 and he was really far gone. So no, he didn't, but he's a great doctor. He's fantastic. He's the only doctor I will ever see. The fuck? You turned him into Mad World. But it's you know, not even issues. It's like bang. it, I didn't think I'd ever do it. I think it was good though, Lefty, because I was on the table and he's like, how old are you now? 40, he said. Right, okay, let's check your prostate. So I didn't have a chance to even think about it. He just did it, you know. I think if I'd known in advance, I'd have been like, oh no, oh no. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, Lefty. I'm 41 now, but last year I had the test when I was 40 because I'm not. I've only 2 months, well, month and a half ago, I turned 41. So, yeah. So I don't know what else then. Just looking here. Colonoscopy, little colonoscopy was pissy. The hardest bit was the prep. Colonoscopy, absolutely fine. Almost, yeah. Honestly, colonoscopy, everyone said, "Oh my god, you're this and that." Nothing. It's literally the prep, which is bloody piss take with the prep. But apart from that, it was absolutely fine. Well. So, well, the only thing I had was the nurses didn't want me to take whatever makes you sleep, but the doctor was like, "Fuck off, you're having it." So I was sedated basically, so didn't feel anything. Yeah, you just like so when you do the formula, you just like pissing shit out left, right, and centre. Well, the second batch then, it's like you got nothing left in the bloody colon. It's just bloody water coming out of you. So, but the taste was horrible. That's the thing. The first glass was fine. I was like, "Oh, this is easy." Orange flavour I thought this is easy. But then he was like, "Oh, I can imagine what you women are like because it tastes like cum." Do you know what I mean? I think that's the texture of cum. So you'd be fine, Lady Law. Just for me, he was like, "I'm not used to this, like, not used to this at all." Mad World, oh no, you're too spiders on the way for it. How dirty are we talking about shit like this? Like lefties, like yeah, lefty. I can imagine that's what it tastes like, as in the texture of it is like that's the best I could explain to you. They gave you tablets. You you must have flushed your tits or something to get tablets. You must have been like, "Oh, doctor, woohoo, give you tablets." There's no way I got bloody formula. Didn't have a choice either. Yes, that's fantastic. Tastes like mouthwash to mouth. Mad well done, lady though. Fantastic. Oh, okay. Oh, we still got liquids. I'd never heard of tablets before. 12 tablets, drink 8 ounces of water. 30 minutes later, took 12 more, etc. Jesus, that sounds easy. No, ours was like a jug full, 2 of them. And it was like thick water. Doing that's what I say. It was like cum is thick water. Ah, horrible. And I had to do it all the day before, 24 hours before, so it wasn't nice. But the actual procedure itself was lovely. It was fine. Sedated, bang, done. Wake up, they give you a cup of tea or coffee and a sandwich. So it was fine. So I can't wait for Lefty to have it all. Just a chocolate starfish. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. I better go because I need to have a shower, feel fresh, go to bed, shit the bed in the pills though. Oh, that would have been no boobies. Well, no, I just thought you would have had that. You know what I mean? Jesus. I wish I had tablets. But anyway. Right, I'm gonna love you, leave you guys because I need to get a shower before bed and then I need to be up at like 6:30, 7. I love these streams. I wish that I could stay on longer. I'd stay on for another couple of hours, but I gotta go. Be fresh. But be up early for my shower. Don't shit the bed, guys. Right, bye, Mad World. I know it's late for you. It's midnight for us now, exactly. So, uh, love you all. Wash your ass, and I will wash my ass. Don't worry. I do wash my ass. It's fine. Uh, that's why I have a show tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. So, and my balls, in case you want to check my balls as well. I might have to give it a little bit of a trim. Um, so yeah, thank you everyone. As always, Lefty, thanks for being here all day. Lady Law, thanks for bringing the energy at the end. And Mad World, Heidi, AB, Kim. I know Shelley's gone. Yeah, everyone's gone, but whatever. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you, love you, and bye bye. See you on the other side.